Where is everybody? Where's the whistler? Where's our song? What is happening? Uh-oh, a note. It looks like a ransom note. It says, "See ya, suckers. I've been whistling this song for 300 episodes, and my lips are parched. I'm moving to a land where chapstick is free, and nobody whistles all the time." What are we going to do now?
Now, if only we could get somebody to turn that into an actual song.
Wait, I have an idea.
Let's call Traveling Robert. Robert, help!
Well, what'd you think? What do you think? It's probably still playing.
Well, let us know. We were very fortunate to be able to work with Traveling Robert on a new song for the StressLess Camping, the whole entity. Part of the reason is every week when we upload to YouTube, they send us a notice that we are violating copyright and blah, blah, blah. Please take the music out. We have to argue with them. It's a pain in the neck, and we've been wanting to change the song just a little bit for some time. And at Quartzsite, I talked to Traveling Robert, and basically that's what we came up with. So
we would like your feedback.
If it's good.
We would like your good feedback. We might be doing minor tweaks, but this is essentially what we're going with. So we hope that you like it. We hope that you enjoy today's episode, which is episode number 300.
Yeah, we're going to kind of go back and talk about us.
Yeah, we told you not to get too excited, didn't we?
Yeah, I know. We had ice cream earlier, if that's helpful at all.
We did have ice cream earlier, and we are, well, you know, what we do, we introduce ourselves as two RV veterans who travel part-time in this Rockwood Mini Light.
We're going to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts.
So today we're going to tell you how we got
here.
How did we get to 300, but what are we doing having a podcast in the first place?
Yeah,
right?
All of that stuff. So, there's a few of you who haven't been with us since the very beginning, and I don't blame you.
You may not be with us till the very end.
Who knows? Yeah. So, but anyway, we thought we'd give you kind of the origin story and what our vision was and is and all that. And
so we kind of do a shortened version of this a lot of times, especially when we're doing our, seminars and people haven't met us before, and you all have, but maybe you're new or maybe you haven't heard the whole story. So we just, thought, well, let's just start from the beginning. My beginning.
Back in the old days.
I maintain that I was conceived on my parents' camping honeymoon. And I literally have been camping since before I was born.
Yeah.
I came from a camping family. I have pictures of my grandmother camping with my aunts and uncles. When I was a little girl, we used to camp in my father's truck camper. When my mom had 5 kids to take camping, and we lived in Southern California, and we lived really close to the Mojave Desert, so we could just go any old time we wanted, and we did a lot. First in a tiny, I remember the trailer a little bit, but the pictures, it's like a 16 or 17 foot, what is now a vintage trailer. Back then it was just a trailer. I cannot figure out how 6 of us slept in that thing.
Probably outside or something.
Maybe we slept outside. Maybe, I don't remember. I really don't remember. I asked my mom. She said, well, we managed. And then from the trailer, we moved to a 1967 Winnebago, which was not only our camper, but our daily driver. And again, I only remember 3 or 4 bed spaces. So how did 6 of us sleep? Well, we managed. But, I come from a camping family. My grandparents belonged to dune buggy clubs. So we would be out in the desert, tearing up the desert with dune buggies with huge gobs of people. When my grandfather built a Baja Bug, my mom would take us on little trips around and get us lost or get us stuck on the side of a hill, things like that. So I really camped, throughout my entire childhood. Then I married. My first husband and I camped quite a bit. He had a truck camper. He built a truck camper on the back of his pickup.
He was handier than I am.
Well, it was never completed, but we won't really go there.
I didn't realize we had so much in common.
And so we camped quite a bit again in the Mojave Desert, Death Valley, what is now part of Death Valley Park, but wasn't back then, Saline Valley. And we just went out in the desert and parked somewhere and camped and drank beer and shot the beer cans and, just had a times in the desert. We did that as often as possible as well. Then I became a college student and a geology student, to be more exact, and geology college requires getting out there in the field and seeing things and doing things in the field. So I, again, camped a lot. And now I didn't have any kind of an RV at that time. I camped in a tent, or I camped in the back of my RAV4. Well, no, first my 4Runner, and then my RAV4. And I literally bought the RAV4 because it had a flat enough space I bought the 4Runner because it had a flat enough space for me to camp in. Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to just go out in my vehicle and, sleep in the car and have fun. So I went with a lot of college trips, a lot of college friends. And then I met Tony. We had a Jayco travel trailer, but I think I should stop because by the time I meet you, then we have a different story that's us together.
That's true.
So why don't you tell us up until that point?
All right. Well, a bunch of kids, I belonged to one of those, boys groups. There's the Scouts and all of that. I belonged to the Y Indian Guides, which is part of YMCA. And, we did our usual tent camping in a surplus Army tent that you couldn't touch if it was raining because it would leak. So we did that. And then as a kid, we would go to the LA County Fair in Pomona every year, and all the normal kids would go look at the animals or ride the rides. I would go and annoy the RV salespeople because I was fascinated. I'm like, oh, you could bring your house with you? That's so cool. And of course, I always wanted my parents to buy a VW camper because those were available then. And one summer, I think late in high school or maybe junior high, finally, there was some dude at my dad's work, and he had an old Champion motorhome. Well, it wasn't old then, but it was a Champion motorhome. And so there was some deal at work. My dad rented it from him for a vacation. So my sister and I each got to bring a friend along. And so we went on this trip. What a piece of junk. That thing. So you could sit on the toilet and look down and see through the shower drain the road. And there was aluminum foil in the fuse box. It was a complete piece of junk. We, at one point we were in, like Banning or something, and the fan belt blew, and it's a Sunday, but there was some old guy who my dad talked out of a fan belt or something. Anyway, but I still liked it. And I forgot to mention, when Tonka came out with the Tonka Winnebago, it was like a Tonka motorhome. I had to have one. So that was my first motorhome. And just liked RVs and all of that. Then I guess we got together.
So I forgot a couple things. I looked at my notes while you were talking and I realized I forgot a couple things. When I was 10 or less, 8, 9, 10 years old, my best friend Lisa and I would play in my basement, and we would, I don't know how, we had I think my parents got a new washing machine or something, but we had a big cardboard box, maybe a refrigerator, maybe a something, but it was a big old cardboard box. And Lisa and I would sit in that box and RV across the country. That was how we played.
So
that was what we did. And that was our, that's what we wanted to do. That's when we grew up, we were going to RV across the country together. And obviously, I have been doing that, but not with Lisa.
Though we've stopped and visited her.
We have visited Lisa. Yeah. Our lives went separate ways. And then also, I didn't mention that when I first got out of high school, I worked with my Aunt Kathy at a company called Alpha Leisure. And at that time, Alpha made travel trailers and fifth wheels. After I left, they went to making motorhomes, and they are sadly no longer in production. But I worked for the company when we've made travel trailers and fifth wheels, and I was the drawer builder. So for about a year and a half or so, I worked building all the drawers that went in every Alpha trailer.
Wow.
In the early 80s.
Wow. I don't know. I just remember this too.
That's okay.
The Y Indian guide, the story was, one time we went camping, and I think it must have been like a Friday night that we went, because we got to the camp late enough. So my dad probably, it was Friday night, so he had to get off work and all that. And we packed the car, and we go and set up at Darby Park in Inglewood. And like 3 a.m, the sprinklers go off. Like, those big commercial park sprinklers. And we had managed to set our tent right on one of those. And man, what a mess. And so all of us, all the kids who were part of this thing all gathered at my house then, or, my parents' house. And somehow we got donuts. It must have been late enough in the morning that the donut shop had already opened. And then, David Sperling, you ate all the donuts.
Uh-oh.
I only got one donut. I do. Donuts, man. So anyway, this, those silly camping stories, and that old tent, what a piece of junk. I mean, it was old Army surplus that we probably bought at an Army surplus store. And then we had that shovel that always failed.
The fold-in-half one.
The fold-in-half shovel that everybody had then, and the stove you couldn't light, and the lantern that you always forgot to bring mantles for, and all. I like RVs.
So, it might not quite count, but didn't you do a trip where you were on a houseboat? That's sort of like an RV, right?
Yeah, that was really fun. So my parents took us. We did some pretty epic vacations, but they're all basically driving vacations, and predominantly in California. So we'd go from Southern California to Northern. But yeah, we went on a houseboat again I was probably 14, 15, and they rented a houseboat in the Sacramento Delta. And boy, I really liked that trip. Herman and Helen's Marina.
That is something I would not mind doing someday.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
It's basically a floating motorhome.
Right.
And I would totally do that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
We would jump off the roof. We would, into the lake. Into the Delta. So there's obviously the main deck, and then you could climb a ladder and get on the roof, and we would all jump off. And
you climbed a ladder?
Well, I was young. I was younger then. Young and silly. I did a lot of dumb stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah, okay. That's why you don't do it now.
Yeah, I got my fill. Yeah.
So when Tony and I met, he was not camping. I was, still sleeping in my car, going out to the desert with my friends on occasion.
She had a house too, but
Well, yeah. I wasn't living in my car. I was going camping in my car. And then we got together, and Tony worked weekends. So it was kind of, in our early years, I worked and went to school during the week, and he worked on the weekends. So we didn't do a lot of, going away type of things. But if he had a weekend off, we would. And then
It was always weird because I worked basically doing events. Mostly I started out as a DJ and then did a lot of event management. We actually eventually bought a banquet hall with a partner and all that nonsense. And on the weekends when I didn't have a gig, it felt so weird.
Yes,
I always thought there was somebody who's going to call and go, "Where in the world are you?"
Did you forget to go to the event this
and
weekend?
I filled in a few times for people where that happened. Like my buddy Jack, I distinctly remember one time he called. He's like, "There's an event and they need someone today."
Oh man!
And I rushed up to the Antelope Valley or whatever, and
it wasn't him that forgot.
no. Jack was very meticulous.
I was going to say he was pretty meticulous.
No, it was like he was in a pretty tight community, and somehow some banquet halls like
Do you know anybody?
Do you know anybody? And here I come.
Nice.
Here I come to save the day.
So when we did get a chance to take weekends
and you know
off,
what? I wrote a book too.
Oh, you wrote a book. That's right.
I wrote Wedding Horror Stories and How to Avoid Them, and one of these days I'll put it back on Amazon.
Yeah.
So my education was in writing, and I used to fancy myself writing a syndicated column, and I actually did at one point write a car column. It was about new cars that went in a bunch of newspapers. So anyway, that's
kind of important because that leads to what you do now, right?
It does lead to what I do now.
So at one point we went camping together with some friends, and one of the couples had a tent trailer, a pop-up tent trailer.
Yeah, an old Jayco pop-up tent trailer.
And they eventually were divorcing and wanted to sell the trailer. And so we bought their travel trailer from them.
Yeah.
And we
the funny thing, this is legitimately, the husband goes, "Just sell it and I'll split it with you."
Yeah.
So she sold it to us for $500.
Yeah. She didn't worry about what it was,
care.
and we were happy to get that bargain. And
yeah.
So then we got to go camping.
It was gross.
Well,
remember the canvas? It had been wet and put away, and we had to bleach the canvases.
Yeah, it was pretty stinky,
and it stunk. Not everything worked in that trailer. We fixed some stuff.
We fixed it, but it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was just a little bit better than a tent, right? And we have never up until last year, we have never tent camped.
Not together.
We didn't tent camp together. So I used to say,
I couldn't find a commercial sprinkler to put a tent on.
Right? So we had that tent trailer, and we went on some really great trips. We went to Mammoth, and we went to
we went to the races in the desert a lot.
We went out to the desert a lot.
We used to sponsor a car that would do time trials in the desert.
We went to, was it like Malibu or up in
we went to Malibu.
So so we had a good time with the travel trailer, and then we had a friend who manages street fairs. Mike Bell, he manages Hermosa.
Shout out, Mike.
Hermosa Street Fair. I think it's got another.
He did the LA Marathon.
Anyway,
he did a bunch of events.
He does a lot of things. And so in order to stay on site the whole time to manage these things, he would rent our our pop-up trailer from us. And so he had that as kind of an office and sleeping quarters. And eventually then we decided that we wanted to have a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
So
if you ever get the mood to buy a bed and breakfast, not so sure that's a great idea.
Sleep on it.
Yeah, sleep on it. That was 2008 when we bought it.
It was 2008.
So it was a bad timing.
Kind of a bad timing. But at the time that we bought the bed and breakfast, and we relocated from Southern to Northern California, and we knew that owning a bed and breakfast meant we were not going to be taking time off to go camping anytime soon.
Sometimes we would swap other B&Bs for rooms, though.
Right, we did.
We'd go there and they'd come to ours.
But we sold Mike that pop-up trailer.
Yep.
So that it would still get some good use, and he got a lot of good years out of it. Now he has a regular kind of travel trailer. So we like to think that we introduced him to the RV life.
There was a few times I worked with Mike, and we all called ourselves Carnies.
Carnies.
Yeah.
So we owned the bed and breakfast for about 7 years. We really didn't camp in that time.
No, we didn't.
Traveled a little bit in the off season. We would, run back down to Southern California where it was warmer, but, not camping. We would just do other things. And then
we did a lot of cruising. Well, not a lot, but that's a lot of what we did on those. We'd go in January and go on cruise ships. And that's about the time podcasting started.
Right. So I don't remember the years that you had your first podcast. I don't
either. Well, I do, because I just reposted the first one, but those were the years that, it was kind of starting to happen. I started listening to John and Kathy Huggins, Living the RV Dream.
Living the RV Dream.
And there were a few others. And then I started listening also to Girl Camper.
Right.
And I felt kind of like, I shouldn't be listening to this, but I did. And I thought it was great. And I'm like, I like this podcasting thing.
Yeah. But you also have a lifetime of listening to talk radio.
Yeah, my mom.
That's the way that that's your entertainment source.
My mom would listen to on a transistor radio. She'd walk around the house and listen to KBC in Los Angeles. And then I listened to KBC in Los Angeles. And I always liked that talk format. There was a dude, Michael Jackson, who was a good, no, not that, different Michael Jackson. But of course that happened a lot because the same name. But this guy would interview all kinds of newsmakers, and he was a really good interviewer.
Yep.
Michael Jackson. So anyway, I always liked the talk format.
Yeah. My mom would listen to her 8 tracks of 1970s country and western music, so that's what I grew up on.
Yeah, okay.
So I still, of course, really love music. But anyway, podcasting was kind of new and fresh, and we were thinking and trying and selling the bed and breakfast in those few years. And, but you also had another podcast.
Yeah. So I had the Curbside Classic Car Show, which kind of dovetailed into the Curbside online car show calendar and the Curbside. I did a lot of stuff in the world of classic cars at that point. And so, my buddy Jim Cherry and I had the Curbside Classic Car, and I'm starting to, I dug them up, and today I reposted episode 1 of the Curbside Classic Car podcast. And it's kind of interesting to listen to it. I listened to it, and it was interesting. One of the things, we talked about the Automobile Driving Museum, which unfortunately recently closed.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, last weekend they had their yard sale and sold off a bunch of stuff. I wonder what happened to that 61 Corvair.
Yeah.
Because that thing was
that
beautiful.
You donated, right? Or your
No, we donated something else.
not Corvair. I'm sorry. That was Volkswagen.
Yep.
Sorry. So anyway, Tony had that talk radio history growing up and listening, and then he had the podcast history, and he had, I think he said he wrote reviews, but of kind of pre-production or brand new models of cars.
Yeah, I got to go to the auto shows and stuff and meet with all the car manufacturers. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so
then we had the bed and breakfast, and that's kind of what we did, was the bed and breakfast. And after we sold the bed and breakfast, Tony did some county marketing.
Yeah, I worked.
Things like that. So he's done a lot of different things. He built a lot of websites in that time period for different companies, especially around the area where we had the bed and breakfast. And I, worked at the county, but we sold
eventually then the county gig dried up. And so I was like, I'll see what's out there. And I saw a job at Redwood Empire RVs. And we were at a car show when I talked to Perry, the owner.
Tony had gone for an interview, and then we were at a car show. Well, I think it was airplanes or something.
It was the Wings, Wheels, and Rotors car show.
He got the call from Perry, so we're wandering around, and he's talking to this guy, and he said, well, do you want to come work for me? And I don't even really know what's going on, right?
Right.
He's like, I just got a job.
I just got a job at an RV dealership. And so I worked there for a few years, and I thought it was neat. But some of the shocking things to me was that a lot of the people that I interacted with from the RV industry didn't go RVing.
Yeah.
It was just so foreign to me.
Now, I think we kind of skipped a little bit.
Did we? Okay.
Before you got the job, we bought our first travel trailer.
Oh dear, yeah, that's
our first mini lug.
Yeah, we bought our first Rockwood mini lug.
We really should have written a timeline. Oh, we did.
Oh, we
just
did.
Keep forgetting to look at it.
Right.
So in 2016, in December, and I'll tell you that every time we were on a highway and there was a dealership, we'd look at our watches and say, yeah, we have an hour. And we would stop and we would, looky-loo through all the
We looked at so
trailers.
many RVs.
We looked at a lot of RVs, which is good because then you really know
it was fun.
What you're picking, right? And so in December of 2016, we finally made a decision. This is I love this story. We were there to,
at the dealership.
At the dealership.
But not the one I worked at. Different
No,
dealership.
a different dealership. We didn't know about his dealership at that time.
Yeah, which is odd.
And so we
did. I said, we went and I said, I want something with a Murphy bed and a single axle. And Perry goes, well, we don't have any of that. Oh, okay.
Oh.
I remember that.
We had been there because I know we had been to the one that had a lot of really small travel trailers right next door a couple times as well. So, okay. So we were there to buy our travel trailer. We're signing the papers and, talking to the finance and all that stuff. And we're waiting to go in the finance office, and out of the finance office walks our friends Joe and Jackie. We had no idea that they were travel trailer people, no idea they were buying one, no idea that they bought the same brand that we bought.
A Rockwood.
And they picked it up the day that we did our initial, 10 days before we got ours.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then our friends Dave and Stacy camp at they were the ones that kind of started our camp at the beach on Christmas.
Yep.
And they said, hey, we're going to be at Doran Regional Park over Christmas. See if you can get a space. Well, that place, you have to get a space a year in advance. So we thought, well, that's not going to happen. But I got online and I found a spot that had been, canceled or whatever. So it was an empty spot. It was in the very next loop from where Dave and Stacy were, which is good because there's 2 miles of campground. It could have been a really far distance.
Fairly decent sized place.
And so our first Christmas after having a travel trailer, we bloomed we camp at the beach on Christmas.
And that was actually, not only was it, it was our second time camping because we went from the dealership to Clear Lake Campground.
Yes.
And spent the first night there.
Yep.
And then we did the camping at the beach, and I bought solar panels because there's no power at that. There's no services there whatsoever. Right. So I bought these two 80-watt solar panels.
So that was our second camping trip. And then after, I don't think that very first year that we went to Quartzsite in January, I think we didn't do that until 2019. Yeah. So a couple years later.
I had already worked at the dealership because Perry was like, are you going to go there and sell RVs?
Right. That's right. So then we were weekenders. We would go camping at the local state park or at the beach or, with our local friends. And
in Northern California, near where we were, there are some spectacular places to go camping.
Absolutely. Then when Tony had the job at the dealership, there may be more to this story, but basically we became really close with Manya, who still works there.
Yep.
And she is an avid RVer.
Well, that was one of the things that helped me get the job there was we were RVers and understood the RV industry. So understood RVing.
Unlike a lot of dealerships who hire people who can sell, Perry likes to hire people who understand RVing.
Yeah, if you ever need an RV and you're in Northern California, 2 thumbs up to Redwood Empire RVs. Good people there.
Mm-hmm. So you had a job there for a couple years. We did some weekend camping. We just had our day jobs, our, regular jobs.
And I kept hearing the same questions. People would come in asking the same questions over and over and over again. I should also say that the dealership Redwood is small enough that I not only did sales, but I helped with the warranties too. So that was also eye-opening. Talking to the reps, handling the warranties, and of course, talking to customers. And I kept hearing the same question over and over and over again. And I'm like, doggone it, somebody should answer these questions and make a website where these questions get answered and all of that. And somehow have them be verifiable, right? Not just, hey, this is my opinion, but, so I started to develop contacts in the RV industry. And somehow I got a whole contact list for Forest River. I don't know how I did, but then I started reaching out, and then it expanded to Thor. And finally I said to Peggy, I think I'm going to quit my job and I am going to start this whole website and writing about...
But you actually started the website about a year before.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
You had the website for quite a while before you left the dealership. And so, I'd say about a year.
Okay.
Because I know it was in
right.
February of 2018 when we chose the name for the website.
Yes, that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the help of Leanne.
Leanne? Yeah. We were like, what should we call it? We were
on a road trip. We were all together in the car.
Yeah, us and our friend Leanne and her daughter Tia.
And we were trying to come up with names, trying to be clever, and everybody's kind of throwing out things and throwing out words. And Leanne said, StressLess Camping. And I was on the phone, that is not existing website. Let's buy it.
Yeah. So we bought the domain.
While we're driving down the highway.
Right then and there, somewhere between Northern California and Southern California on the 15.
5.
Or on the 5, rather. Yeah.
5. Yep.
So
a website was born.
It was.
So Tony did that on his, when he wasn't at work, and I still worked for the county. And then around, or kind of springtime, I guess, 2019, Tony had the podcast with the cars, and that,
so I started the podcast with Jim.
Yeah.
Well, it was 2022 no. That can't be.
I don't think so. But anyway, we were in the Kelseyville house.
Right, we had the Kelseyville house
to most people, but so it was after 2018. You were still podcasting with Jim, and in 2019 you said, let's have a podcast. Well, I understood what a podcast was. I had no idea what
I had forced her to listen to plenty of them.
But, the point was basically he just wanted to add my voice to his podcast in a kind of a way, right? It was his baby. It was his thing. And so I said, yeah, sure. Why not? I'll talk with you. It took me a while to get comfortable, and we didn't do video back then.
Oh gosh,
we only did audio. No. And so even just to know that I was wearing a microphone, I'd have a little bit of trouble getting comfortable. Hard to believe now, right? I would be, hi, this is StressLess Camping. And he said, you have to smile. I need to hear the happiness. You can hear
the smile on the face.
And so just before I started talking, he would reach over and poke me in the ribs. And I'd kind of go, hi.
Yep. Worked.
And that's how I learned to have a microphone voice.
I had always been very comfortable on the microphone.
Yeah. And as he had been I
worked as DJing and all that. So
MC for a lot of events and stuff. So he knew how to work a microphone, and I just didn't.
I have a face for radio.
Yeah, there's that. Now, while we're on YouTube, but so let's see. That was kind of tangled up a little bit.
Yeah.
So in July of 2019 was episode 0 and episode 1, July 11, 7/11.
That's right. Yeah.
That was our beginning episode. And that was 300 episodes ago.
Yeah, crazy.
That was 4 trailers ago.
4 trailers, 300. 5 if you count the Aristocrat. Because we bought a vintage trailer as a second trailer.
In about 2020 or 21, we bought a vintage trailer.
And, you know what else we didn't mention was the Corvair van.
Right, that's true.
We had the Corvair van.
That was a camper, although we never went camping in it. We tried camping in the yard in it one time.
Yeah, and I realized then that none of the interior door handles in the back worked. And I'm like, this is kind of...
I thought he felt trapped. And it's pretty small. I mean, it was an old,
it was like the size,
van.
it was the size of a VW van.
It was pretty tiny in there, but We tried.
Yeah.
We never did camp in it, but we used it for a lot of day trips.
Went to a lot of car shows in that RVer.
And a lot of drive-in movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a drive-in movie in Lake County if you're ever up there.
Yeah. So then in 2022, we had a wild year. I'm going to see how quickly we can recap it. We put our house for sale in April or May. We packed everything into either storage or the back of our camper shell, truck shell, not
the
camper,
pickup.
but
you can't see it.
The shell on the truck. And we took off. Oh, I guess I have to back up a little bit. In February of 2022, the original travel trailer, the one we bought in 2016, had a little minor accident. We hit a bump and it broke the frame. And it was no longer safe to take camping. It lives on as a guest house.
At a walnut orchard.
In a walnut orchard. But we were not able to use that to go camping anymore. And that was in February. And we had done a trip in 2021 where we did all of Route 66. So we were on the road for a couple of months. And I said, perhaps 19 feet isn't quite enough to spend this much time together.
And that's when we had already started the Facebook group for Rockwood and Flagstaff.
Yes.
And we were pretty much a known entity there. And so when we were shopping around, a couple of brands had actually said, hey, we want you to be our brand ambassador. We're like, yeah, but we really like this Rockwood and Flagstaff line a lot. And we got to talking to the Rockwood folks and bing, bang, boom, we became brand ambassadors and we bought a 2022-2205.
That was a tongue twister.
It was the first... it was a prototype of their power package through ABC Upfitters, who I think you may have heard us talk about before.
We might have mentioned ABC Upfitters
once or
twice. So we bought that trailer in May. We drove to Indiana and picked it up. We had that, a couple other prototype things, but all that prototype of the ABC Upfitters, or the power package that ABC Upfitters puts in, they were building them, or they were working on making things that Rockwood could drop in as they built the travel trailers. Yeah,
so when we picked up that trailer is the first time we met ABC Upfitters. Right. Now would probably be a great time to talk about them a little bit.
We should, right? I think so.
And they had this prototype. Well, with Rockwood, they knew we liked to camp off the grid. And they're like, hey, not only, would we like you to be our brand ambassadors, how'd you like to try this new power package out? Okay.
Sure, why not?
And so that's when we met the team from ABC Upfitters and met the team from Mastervolt and learned just how all these systems work together. And the more we found out, the more impressed we were with this package that really communicates well with itself. It's all one source. And just that system worked so well in that trailer that we became fans and started working with ABC Upfitters and found out that they had plans to be able to offer these systems to more than just Rockwood and Flagstaff. In fact, they had talked to some other RV manufacturers as well and were working with them. So it was a company that the RV manufacturers trust, and the experience we had was outstanding, and we became partners with ABC Upfitters and have been big fans. And of course, as we always say, if you are looking for a reliable solar and lithium system for your RV, ABC Upfitters is a great company to work with.
Yep.
They do custom installations. They listen to what you want. They work with you. They're reliable. They do a masterful job of putting these systems together.
A masterful job with Mastervolt components.
Oh, I like it. That just works.
That just works.
So,
one of the great things about using Mastervolt, and I didn't realize the extent of this being true. The batteries Mastervolt, the charge controllers Mastervolt, the inverters Mastervolt, the plugs, the wires, the everything, right? So there's no piecemealing anything. It all is made to work together.
And no finger pointing, which a lot of times, you could get great stuff, but if, brand A built this piece and brand B built that piece, and you have an issue, they're each going to be, it was their fault.
Blame the other, right?
And that's not true there. So one installer, one manufacturer, it's all good stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in, 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225. Give ABC Upfitters a call and ask them about getting your own solar package installed.
And look at, there's a link on our website, which we'll put down below or in the show notes, and look at some of the other things they're starting to offer in terms of lighting.
Yes.
They are doing some pretty cool stuff. Anyway,
so we had that first travel trailer, second travel trailer, the 2022-2205 tongue twister. We had that from May, and when we picked it up in May, Rockwood said, now we're not quite ready to talk about this yet.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious because Ben from ABC looked at me and said, well, we are.
Yeah, right.
So we kept hush hush, except to our friends that we were camping with.
Except for a gigantic sticker on the back of our trailer.
Well, ABC had put a giant sticker on the back of the trailer. This is true. But we didn't talk about it on the podcast. We didn't make it, public. If we were camping with someone, we'd be like, you want to see?
Check this out.
And so they got a little preview. But anyway, in August, then we went back to Indiana for the Frog Rally. That's for Forest River Owners Group.
Yeah, if you have a Forest River trailer, Forest River RV rather, you can be part of this group.
That's right. And so we went there for the rally, the international rally in August. And when we were there, that's when Rockwood said, we're comfortable with you talking about the ABC system. We're going to start carrying the ABC system as an option in our manufactured trailers. And so we interviewed Ben and Stacy right at the fairgrounds with the
lawnmower guy
in the background. And so we really, really enjoyed that. We have loved that relationship, and that trailer had the prototype. That trailer, now we're still in 2022, mind you. That trailer was also totaled by being rear-ended while we were waiting for some construction on a highway in Kansas.
Yeah.
So now we don't have a 2205.
That was a tough call to make. I remember calling my friends at Rockwood, and I'm like, "You're not going to believe this."
Because what did they? We worked with them to get that as a brand ambassador, and we said, "What do we do?" And they said, well, this has never happened before. We don't know what
we
to
were
do.
literally we're the first Forest River brand ambassadors to have destroyed a trailer.
The first Forest River brand ambassadors, I think.
And then we're the first ones to destroy
need to replace our trailer. So luckily we had, put out good insurance on it. We ended up in December of 2022 getting a 2023 2205S.
Yep.
By the way, remember how I said we put our house for sale?
Oh, yeah.
So that was in May. Basically all of July, we lived in my sister's driveway in our new travel trailer. We bought a house in August, September, signed the paperwork, went to the Frog Rally, came back for closing escrow. It was a wild ride. Mm-hmm. Then lost that trailer, then went back in December to pick up the second 2205, which we said, oh, whew, yay, now we have a trailer that we are going to keep. Until we went to the Frog Rally in 2024.
That year, we had two trailers. No, three, right? Yeah, we really had three trailers.
Three trailers.
We also sold a house in California. Because of the trailer, to register it, we had to become South Dakota residents.
Right.
My accountant that I had since I was, I don't know, a long time, just up and quit. He's retired. He retired. Well, right. He's like, I'm done.
But so we had three trailers. We had three resident states because
we were residents of three states.
We had we did not change vehicles that year, But, you know, we kind
Changed just about everything else.
started doing a lot more travel for our business, and all these things happened. And then, like Tony said, we lost our accountant, we lost our tax man, so we had to hire a new person.
And explain, she's been great.
But we're like, okay, this isn't always going to happen, but we have 3 residences and 3 RVs.
Step aside and watch this.
So what a crazy year that was.
So anyway, sorry, back to the frog rally.
That's okay. So things kind of calmed down after that. We had a couple of really great years. We did a lot of traveling. We did, 105 episodes or whatever in 2 years, whatever that time period was. And, you kind of have followed, if you have followed along, you kind of know what we've done. We haven't done anything life-changing, like changing states or selling our houses or anything like that. And we were going along pretty steady and doing really great things. And then we went to the frog rally in 2024.
Yeah.
And Tony, one of his, kind of passions and jobs is writing reviews.
Yeah, I write a fair number of reviews for a number of other people in addition to StressLess Camping. You'll find RV reviews there, but I write reviews for a number of people. So we're trolling through the various Forest River units.
We were going to review everything that Forest River had on display. At the
frog rally, they bring new units for people to check out.
So we went in this one, and we went in that one, and we went in some Class Cs, and we went in some R pods, and we went in some those big destination things, and we were just review, and we walked into the Mini Lite 2506 FK front kitchen.
And they had this floor plan before, but it was different.
It was different.
The bed was placed, and it was east-west instead of right. And no, not in a slide, but they had an outdoor kitchen underneath it. And this long storage drawer at the back. So what they did is they twisted the bed 90 degrees, and it runs parallel to the, to the chassis. Mm-hmm. And they put the bath in the middle to split the front and back of the trailer.
Well, the bath was essentially in the same place, but it used to be a bathroom on the left and a hallway on the right.
Right.
And what they did was make the bathroom go all the way across the trailer. So you pass through the bathroom to get to the bedroom. Some people hate that idea.
Well,
and I get it, but why we love the idea is that we don't keep the same sleep schedule. And to be able to, one of the two things that we didn't love about the 2205S was that there was not a lot of separation for sleeping and making noise, working or grinding coffee and things like that. And so there was a curtain, and that was it. And Tony was always uncomfortable getting up early and trying to be real quiet so it didn't wake me up. And so we love the fact that there is complete separation now from living space to bedroom space with 2 sets of doors, a bathroom door and a bathroom door.
There are also 2 doors on the outside.
There's outside doors. But we sat in that dinette saying, as perfect as the trailer is that we have, this trailer solves those 2 little niggly problems that we have.
Well, and something I think a few of you who followed our little journey here know is that at one point I had seriously considered building a custom trailer starting with a cargo trailer.
Yes.
And the floor plan that I kind of worked out is this floor plan. So I'm like, I don't have to don't have to do that. Someone did it for me.
I was so happy the day we were driving around, and he said, I no longer have to worry about or think about building a cargo van in exactly the floor plan because they have made us the exact floor plan that we wanted. And so
Peggy was like,
yay. So we have been so happy with this. And we've talked about the 2506 quite a bit.
You can see our review at StressLessCamping.com.
So, and through all those things, every single Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, hopefully not Wednesday very often, we sit down with mics and now in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And kind of update you on what's going on.
Yeah, we try to have tips and tricks and discounts and all of that. Yes. But we thought, people have asked us about the origin story and all that. So we thought for our 300th episode, we'd share a little bit about us.
How we wound up here.
Yeah. And I mean, we keep doing some interesting stuff. Last week, we were speaking at the FRVA convention. We are in Texas at the moment, and we just taught a class for a group of women through Girl Camper, which is a really neat organization. Mm-hmm. So we taught our RV basic training class to a whole group of women. And the campground here has talked to us about offering it for their
having us come
guests,
back,
having us come back.
Having the campground will organize this setup mm-hmm. for us to teach again. I have, I don't know, a light bulb went on this last week, and this is the part I love the best.
Is doing the classes? Doing
the classes is a part I love the best.
Interesting.
So I actually, you guys, I don't think we've done it in quite a while, but, there was a good amount of time that whenever we had a guest on, which is as often as we can, because
when we find guests that we really like.
There are people who are way more knowledgeable about a lot of topics than we are, so we love to have them come and tell us their expertise. We spring at the end of the interview, we spring on them the question, what is your best or what is your worst memory about camping? And so I reworded that for ourselves, and I said, I wanted to ask, what is your most favoriteest, bestest part about, I don't know, being a podcaster or being StressLess Camping, and what is your least favorite?
Favorite is absolutely being in and speaking to groups. I love speaking in public. It's one of America's biggest fears and one of my greatest joys. And the worst is just any RV repairs on the road. Just those little things that all of us have to deal with. It's like, I want to just enjoy this, and I don't want to fix plumbing or whatever.
Right.
So that's mine. How about yours?
So I have realized that this is my favorite, being able to teach, not just speak in front of people. I don't care about speaking in front of people. I want to teach them. I want to be in front of a group of people and tell them something and have someone's eyes go, I finally get it, and that happens in pretty much all of our classes.
Yeah.
I see a light click on in somebody, someone out there. And that to me is the most wonderful thing. I am not by design an entrepreneur.
No.
I would, if I didn't know Tony and if Tony didn't say, let's have a business together, I would be an employee somewhere.
Yep.
That is my personality. That's who I am. I love that Tony got me out of my comfort zone. We do this business together. We get to travel and we get to work together. I love it. And I especially love when I know that I have helped somebody in a way that they're not going to forget. And I absolutely love that.
That's pretty cool.
And probably the part I like the least is the weeks that it's Wednesday morning and we still don't know what we're going to do for our podcast, and we have to get it done in the next 12 hours, and it's a rush and it's stressful. Or, the computer.
It's not stressless.
It's not stressless. Or the computer glitches and I have to restart something that I've done, and that's happened a few times. And it's just the running a business part, It's not something that it's not something that comes naturally to me, and it's something that I have to really work at.
Like Sunday, I have a bunch of articles due to one of the people I provide articles to. And Sunday night when I've written all this stuff and it's all ready and I post it to where they get it. No, I like it. I'm like, I did it again. Because sometimes it's like, what in the wide world of sports am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
But I always like when I have good topics and things I think will serve people. So, but I do like the feeling of, I got more stuff done and all of that. So I like waking up early in the morning with a purpose. That floats my boat.
I like getting up when I want to and having some coffee. And then Tony has put us in car terms. He's like a dragster, what is it called? Drag races.
Yeah.
Like he takes off, pshoo, and he goes. He
I
goes
wake up,
right
I'm
from
like on.
Minute one, he's on.
But-
And he gets up and he starts riding, he starts working. And like a diesel, I sludge out of the bedroom and I grumble over my first cup of coffee and I finally wake up. But once I get started, if I have to, I will chug along until bedtime. Like if that's what it takes to get the job done, I'll do it. And Tony's like, pshoo, and then he says, oh, that's it.
Yeah,
I
about
wore
2 or
myself
3 in
out.
the afternoon, I'm done, son. So that's
And
just,
you know what? That works because that way you get your quiet time, I get my work time, separate time, and we get some time to do things together. And I think it all works out for us.
It's stressless camping.
It's stressless camping.
Well, that's what we have for you this week. Hopefully you enjoyed being on our journey. And don't forget, as always, to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think of our new song.
Yeah.
And look for us in all the places where you like being social, on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and on and on and on. We're all in those places.
Go on the website and sign up for our newsletter so
Yep.
that we can remind you every week that we got something to say.
Yep. And we really appreciate, some of you have been with us on this entire journey,
Yep.
but we appreciate whether you've been here for one episode or all 300. Thank you so much for being part of our little world here. We hope, our goal has always been to provide as much value as we can to you.
Yes.
And to bring information that is helpful and hopefully somewhat entertaining too, whether you're laughing at us or with us. But with that, thank you so much. Also, thank you, Robert, for your help with our new song. And most of all, stressless camping. Do you smell gas?
I smell sewer.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is it open? Oh, it is open. Oh, I'm a dope.
Our black tank's open?
No,
Just
I
the white
didn't
thing.
put the thing on.
Just the white thing. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry.
We should leave that in.
We should. There's our blooper.
Our outtake.